Good morning, Bucknutters. Welcome to the Bucknuts Morning 5 here on Wednesday, September 6th, 2023. I am Dave Biddle. I'll be joined by Steve Helwagen in just a moment. Before I do that, got to pay some bills. Want to let you guys know this show is sponsored by BetterHelp. Do you ever find that just as you're trying to fall asleep, your brain suddenly won't stop talking? Do your thoughts start racing right before bed or at other inopportune moments? It turns out one great way to make those racing thoughts go away is to talk them through. Therapy gives you a place to do that so you can get out of your negative thought cycles and find some mental and emotional peace. I know for me, it's incredibly frustrating trying to fall asleep when my mind is racing. Therapy empowers you to be the best version of yourself, something most of us are trying to achieve. If you're thinking of starting therapy, give BetterHelp a try. It's entirely online. It's designed to be convenient, flexible, and suited to your schedule. Just fill out a brief questionnaire, get matched with a licensed therapist, and switch therapists at any time for no additional charge. Get a break from your thoughts with BetterHelp. Visit BetterHelp.com/Bucknuts today to get 10% off your first month. That's BetterHelp, HELP.com/Bucknuts. All right, let's bring in my guy, Steve Helwagen. Oh, so much to get into. I don't want to be angry, so I'm not going to start off talking about the clock rules, the new clock rules, and how that's impacting the game. We'll get to that eventually. Quarterbacks. I want to get your thoughts on maybe kind of deciphering what Ryan Day said, kind of, I don't know, translating Day. It'd be very easy for him to say, Kyle McCord is my quarterback. You know, he was even asked follow-up questions like, is Kyle the guy or is it just for this game? And he said, I'm trying not to draw lines in the sand. So it'd be very easy to say, Kyle's our guy. We like Devin, but Kyle is our guy. He hasn't gone there. Kyle's going to start again this week. Devin's going to play. Same thing we heard last week, and then Devin barely played. Well, just kind of translate what you heard from Day and what you expect long-term at quarterback, Steve.
Yeah, I think that in the game against Indiana, he sensed that the offense was not working. And I think that he came to the realization that to jockey the quarterbacks and put them in every other series or give Brown the second quarter or whatever to try and work through it wasn't going to be the right thing to do on that day. They needed to pick. It's the age-old thing is you got to pick one and go with them. And that's what he did within the context of that game. He picked one and he went with him. Now, you know, is Kyle McCord better than Devin Brown? I don't think we have the answer to that yet. Devin Brown, his day was it was incomplete. I mean, he didn't play enough plays for you to know what he can and can't do. I think in a perfect world, what would happen against Youngstown State, and this is just throwing it out there, is McCord would play the first and third quarters and Brown would play the second and fourth quarters. They would both get about 35 snaps. They would both get to throw about 15 to 20 passes. And then you might have a better idea of what both guys can do. Granted, the quality of the opponent, an FCS opponent, Youngstown State, is not going to give you a full barometer of what those guys would look like against a Big Ten team with a Big Ten pass rush, great linebackers, and outstanding cornerbacks and safeties. But I think that it's another data point, I guess, to make a decision in this whole thing. And no, I don't get the sense one bit that he has, quote, settled on Kyle McCord as the starting quarterback. The audition is still open, and it'll be open through the Western Kentucky game. And by the end of the Western Kentucky game, it better be apparent to everybody what direction this thing is headed.
Yeah, I guess we'll get into the clock rules now because this plays into it. I mean, it was hard last year getting young guys playing time, and now he's trying to get two quarterbacks playing time, but dealing with less possessions, markedly less possessions. Now, Indiana, maybe that was a one-off where they had only 10 possessions, but maybe it's going to be a trend. I don't like it at all. I don't know why they made this move. I mean, I know I did. Follow the money. I mean, I'm not stupid. I mean, that's why they did it. They added commercials is the bottom line. Nobody in the sport wanted less college football. Nobody wanted shorter games. It's not even shorter games. It's just less plays. Nobody wanted that. And it ticks me off. And they need to let the coaches in on this stuff when they're making big rule changes because they're the ones that know the most and they're the ones that have to deal with it. I don't know, Steve, where do you come down on that? And how much does that affect what they're doing at quarterback right now? Because I'm sure Devin Brown would have got a chance to play more if they would have, had the same amount of possessions they did in last year's Indiana game.
Yeah, it seems to me they've cut about 3 minutes out of the game because if you figure there's probably 25 or 30 first downs that end up inbounds with the clock running, and those are like 7 or 8 seconds each. And so that's like, 3.5 minutes that have been shaved off of this game. And I think that teams are going to learn that you counter that if you want to run more plays by going up tempo. Ohio State needs to snap the ball at 18 or 15 seconds and not 5. They were going down to the tail end of the play clock a lot in this game. And now it's on you. You decide the tempo of the game. Now, on a day when it was 90 or 88 degrees and probably felt like 105 to 110 on the field, I can understand that you had to slow down because it was just too much for the players. I mean, they're not robots, and that's what we keep coming back to. They're human beings, and if you try and go up tempo on a day like that, you're going to have false starts. You're going to have mental mistakes, guys stepping out of bounds on a pattern down the sideline. What the heck was that? So, just crazy from the heat, I think, in a lot of senses. But at any rate, I don't like this. I don't know for a fact that they added another 30 seconds to each commercial break. It kind of felt like they did. What I did notice was there was 40 seconds to go in the first quarter, and there was a change of possession, and we had a TV timeout. And I'm like, usually that deep in the quarter, they've used all the breaks. And did they add an additional break? I don't know. But, with these new TV contracts in the playoffs, everything's a commercial break. I mean, you get into the playoff games and they rarely go from one possession to the other without a break. So they got to pay the bills. So I don't know. It got to be a happy balance. A lot of standing around the stadium. It was a terrible product to sit there and watch in the stadium on Saturday.
Yeah, I didn't like it when it came out. Now that I've actually seen it, I hate it. I hate the new clock rules. All right, let's move on. One of the titles of today's show is Chip Trayanum the best running back on this team? Or am I overreacting by one game? Others that say Chip's the best. Are people overreacting? Go ahead.
I think based on that one game, he should be the starter. And I say that because, their bacon was in the fire, basically. It's 10-3 at halftime, and you need a spark. And that guy gave you a spark. He ran with authority. He ran with great vision. If it's not blocked perfectly, he can make something happen, and he can bounce it outside and has the speed to get around the edge. And he did not finish any of his runs. He didn't put the ball in the end zone, but he got every yard he could possibly get out of those runs. And guy made a great tackle on him at the 3-yard line the one time. Otherwise, that would have been a touchdown there. So he set up the scores. It was very telling. He runs the ball all the way down the field, and then they put him at fullback to block for Mayan to punch it in the end zone. And what a hell of a run by Mayan. He got hit near the line of scrimmage and just kept churning and took the linebacker with him into the end zone. So those guys are quite a 1-2 punch. I need to see more from Travion Henderson. I think, and again, some of it's unfair. Of the 31 running plays, Dave, 10 of them were for 0 or negative yards. That's not a very good batting average. 333 is not a good batting average in that instance because too many negative plays and too many 0 yardage plays. And so Henderson was getting hit at the line of scrimmage. He was getting hit 3 yards deep in the backfield. This was the offensive line that just didn't have any idea what his blocking assignments were, turning guys loose in the backfield. Terrible decisions by the quarterback in the run pass option or in the zone read. Terrible. Now maybe he's directed handoff, you do not run. I don't know, but the defensive end's crashing and he's handing the running back the ball. That doesn't make any sense. That's Kerry Combs. Nobody setting the edge, not making any sense right there to me. So a lot of questions and very few answers after the first game.
Yeah, I think Chip looks like the best. It's for me, and I've said this before on the show, is it's not just the one game against Indiana. I saw it in the spring. We saw flashes of it last year, but certainly in the spring, and not just the spring game, that long run that he had, and he had some other good ones. There was one scrimmage in particular that he just looked great to me, and they were going full bore, like they were tackling, like they were actually playing real football during the spring, maybe 2 weeks before the spring game, something like that. And number 19 was out there. I was like, damn. So yeah, I think they have something here, Steve. I think they have something here. We'll see. It's gonna be very interesting to see the pecking order this week. Maybe not this week, 'cause I don't think they're gonna like all of a sudden kill Travion's confidence and like make him the third string guy. But listen, you can't be messing around by the Notre Dame game. So we'll know by then at the very latest.
The only thing I'll add is Henderson is a good player. I mean, I'm not going to downrate him. I think the issue is if you don't block it perfectly, he's just a mortal. You know, he's not a freak. If you block it perfectly and get him the ball in space, he's a freak. He can take it 70 to the house at any moment, but they're not blocking it perfectly and they are not executing worth a crap. The other 10 guys on the offense are not executing. And so he doesn't look like a freak in that instance.
I agree. All right, let's look at the offensive line. I want to get your concern level. Let's say you're a Buckeye fan. Hi, Amy. There's you saw Steve's better half there, making her debut in the morning five. Steve's better half making her debut on the show. Good to see Amy as always.
Hey, Dave.
Hello, Amy. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
There we go.
See you later. Bye.
Say hi to Buckeye Nation out there.
Mm-hmm.
We've got 5 million people watching the show, or maybe a couple hundred. I don't know.
You're not supposed to say this on this show, but I can because I'm not a journalist. So
you can. I don't care either. I mean, go Bucks. I just said it too.
All objectivity out the window. Here we go.
Bye.
All right, live podcasting. It's fun. Okay, so offensive line. How concerned would you be? You're a Buckeye fan. Let's say you're a big Buckeye fan. Like, how concerned should you be? Josh Fryar, the only one that graded out as a champion, although Coach did say he was encouraged by Carson Hinsman. Left side of the line looked like just complete dreck. It was terrible, miscommunication. It wasn't just Simmons; it was also Donovan Jackson. Where do you come down, man? I know it's one game, but where do you come? What's your concern level with this O line?
They weren't prepared. It didn't feel like in the least bit for everything Indiana. Matt Guerrieri and the guys at Indiana threw the kitchen sink at Ohio State. Andre Carter was better than expected to be at defensive end, played with great instincts, played with great energy, and Ohio State did not match that. Somebody on Twitter posted of course, Maryland played Towson, so it's not a very good example, but one of their linemen, pancaking guys and these kind of things. We didn't see anything at all like that. It's not a dominating offensive line physically or athletically. And they're trying to zone block. And the person next to me in the press box explained it. And he said, if you don't have athletes on the offensive line, trying to zone block isn't going to work as effectively as it could as if you had actual athletes like Paris Johnson, people who can get out of their stance and take 2-3 quick steps and engage somebody. They're not firing out. I thought pass protection was fine. There were a couple of times McCord had pressure, but to McCord's credit, he also had some very good pocket presence for a guy who's never played to step up, get out of pressure, keep plays alive. He was never sacked, so that's good. I want to see what that looks like against a great pass rush. I presume Notre Dame, Wisconsin will have that. And my goodness, those games are hurtling at Ohio State at the speed of light right now. Buckle your chin strap and buckle up your seatbelt because it's about to get real here in about 2.5 weeks before you know it. So to me, they got to get better. And this is Justin Fry and Brian Hartline and Ryan Day. They have got to get back to the drawing board and figure out a scheme that's going to work for these guys within their skill set, what they're capable of doing. I had people, coming on and say in one of the stories that we posted a thing that said, you go and tell Ryan Day that the fans want to see Tegra Toshbola and Luke Montgomery at tackle. And I'm like, well, that's great. The coaches saw them all side by side for a month and said, we're going to go with this guy and this guy. Then they got into a game and this guy didn't play very well. I can't necessarily believe the guys behind them were going to do a whole heck of a lot better. But, they're not they're not playing the wrong players on purpose. I can tell you that. So going to have to live and die with this offensive line. Unfortunately, the offensive line recruiting woes of the past couple of years have come home to roost, and make the best of it is what I see. Let's see what happens. Youngstown won't be much of a barometer. Western Kentucky may not be much of a barometer, but it's all you got. So get to work on it and get it fixed.
Yeah, it's interesting. I mean, you look at this line. I don't know. It's fixable. I mean, Coach Day talked about that yesterday. He said everything that he saw. He didn't want to get into too many specifics, but he felt it's fixable, which tells me it is miscommunication. When I rewatched the game, there was times that guys were looking at each other like, that was supposed to be you. No, that was supposed to be you. It's like two guys in the outfield like, I thought you called it. No, I thought you called it. Like, there was so much.
The fly ball drops. And there goes Andre Carter again. He's in the backfield again.
And listen, we've all talked up Justin Fry. Sue just mentioned this earlier in the live chat. I mean, he's in year 2 now. I mean, how much of this is on Justin Fry? We're seeing Donovan Jackson looks like he's regressed. We're seeing just miscommunication. I know it was one game, and I just harken back to 2014 and how bad that line looked early in the season. And then they were out there pushing Alabama around by the end of the year. So you never know. I'm not sounding alarms yet, but I am concerned. I'm concerned that, Justin Fry didn't have his guys ready.
Yeah, got to be much better. And, I think that film doesn't lie, obviously, and you will know exactly on each play. I mean, for me as an outsider to make a judgment of who was right, who was wrong, I can't necessarily do that. But, I mean, some things are pretty obvious, but I think other things, they've got to handle internally and figure out on this specific play. You absolutely did not do your job. The call wasn't right. The blocking wasn't right. You didn't execute. And they've got to work through that. They got to get that figured out.
Steve and I are going to close the show talking defense. Yeah, we talked all offense so far. We are going to talk some defense. But I do want to tell you about our next sponsor, AG1. AG1, great company. It's a daily nutritional supplement that supports whole body health. Using a nutritional supplement can go a long way, and AG1 is the best product in the field. It has everything you need, so it can replace your multivitamins or probiotics or whatever else in one simple drink. I have started using this product, and I have noticed a spike in my energy, and I just feel better overall. I was skeptical of the taste of the drink before I tried it. AG1 comes in this green powder, and you mix it with water, but it tastes good. So they definitely have a customer in me, and I recommend it to you guys, and you get some free stuff thanks to the Bucknuts Morning 5. If a comprehensive solution is what you need from your supplement routine, try AG1 and get a free 1-year supply of vitamin D and 5 free AG1 travel packs with your first purchase. Go to drinkag1.com/bucknuts. That's drinkag1.com/bucknuts. Check it out. All right, Steve, let's talk some defense. Safety position is interesting to me. I didn't think Josh Proctor would be starting again as a 6th-year senior. Here he is. Some ups and downs in the first game, made some really good plays, had some, was late on a couple of plays. Overall, I thought he played solid, though. Does he hold this job long-term? Does Malik Hartford eventually beat him out? What's up with Jahad Carter? Break all that down for me.
Yeah, it's an interesting situation. You got 3 guys kind of all jockeying for playing time there. We didn't get a real good read from Ryan Day yesterday what's going on with Jahad Carter. We assume it's more health issues after he missed time in the spring due to I think it was a knee injury. Is he 100%? Day said that he does figure to play in the weeks ahead, and he needs to have a good week of practice, I guess, to get back into the flow. So if he's healthy, what does that mean? Josh Proctor, it sounds like, did very well in preseason camp to earn the spot, and maybe he is finally playing up to the level that people thought he would when he was a high 4-star, borderline 5-star guy. So I look at it that it's going to be a week-to-week thing and who they think is going to play the best. Malik Hartford is a guy that you cannot deny as a young guy. He's got to play. I mean, I don't mean that like got to play for them to win. I mean, he's got to play to continue his development because I think he's got off the charts potential. He had interception go in and out of his hands. And I want to see more of Malik Hartford. But Proctor, first game, I'd give him a B+. There was one pass play down the middle. I think that they located him in coverage and completed a 20-yard pass or something. But otherwise, I thought the safety play was really good. And again, these are guys sometimes in different roles. Sometimes even within, a series, you might play bandit one play and adjuster the next, or, nickel one play and bandit the next, or whatever. And it's got to be seamless. And what I saw, Dave, watching the defense was, whereas last year there was a lot of tentativeness, very tentative play, and unsure, should I be the one going up and making this play here, or is somebody else supposed to do that? I saw guys just going and making plays. And to me, that comes when you understand the defense, understand the scheme, and they're starting to click in year 200 Jim Knowles, that guys are just triggering and making plays. And that was from the first play of the game on. It was night and day different from what we saw last year at times. So I'm encouraged by what I saw from the defense. Indiana is going to be one of the worst offenses in college football once again this season. So let's don't get fool's gold like we did last year when, you wanted to pin a medal on these guys when they stifled Iowa, Rutgers, Northwestern, Indiana. Who else was just god-awful?
Notre Dame.
Notre Dame
was
was
terrible.
terrible.
Yeah.
Notre Dame, they were at the beginning, they were miserably awful. Toledo was the best offense they played for a long time till they played Maryland. Penn State, Maryland, abused Ohio State's defense, and then Michigan and Georgia, took them out back in the woodshed. So, let's don't crown them, as Denny Green would say. Let's don't crown them just yet, but encouraging, Dave, very encouraging.
Very encouraging. You're right. Like, it was the look of the defense. Yeah, Indiana is terrible offensively. It was just, it looked like a
bottom
defense flying around there, playing with an edge. Stone. Give me your Fred Puggett. Give me a little Fred Puggett. Give me a little Fred Puggett for the people.
All right. Kids played hard. They flew around. Kids, played hard, flew around.
Stoned them.
I know, Fred. 11. Then Mark Katz from the Dayton Daily News. I know, Fred. 11 silver bullets flying to the ball, but what was it that your defense really did? Well, kids played hard. All right. Silver bullets, flying the ball.
Stoned them.
That was
there. You go. That was
scientific explanation of the 1996 Ohio State defense. They just stoned them. So there you go.
They stoned them. That's it. You don't need to know anything else. They just stoned them. Kids played tough. Silver bullets flying around. We've seen Steve's better have
yards. We've seen 153 for Indiana and 3 points. That counts as a stoned them, I think. Yeah. So
definitely. That was Puggett approved right there. So we've seen Steve's better have Amy on the show. We've seen Steve's impersonation of Fred Puggett, which cracks me up every time. I'm glad I had you do that for the people. Hilarious. All right. I appreciate everybody for tuning in. Thank you to Steve. Thank you to all of you. Hope everyone has a great rest of your day.
Fred.